Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the CFO Podcast. As you know, in this podcast, we explore the journeys of financial thought leaders who are shaping the future of businesses. For today's episode, I couldn't have been more excited again because my guest CFO is a tech CFO. His journey started early in the days from various companies, but the first major tech breakthrough was when he started working for eBay. From eBay, he moved into Souq.com. For those who have been in the region for quite some time, we all remember Souq.com days very well. Souq.com got acquired by Amazon, and then he found himself leading the financial strategies for this big e-commerce giant Amazon in the MENA region. And most recently, he has been working as a CFO of the MENA's largest crypto exchange called BitOasis. So there is a lot to unpack in this podcast. And without waiting further, let me introduce you to my guest. His name is Rishi Gupta. Rishi, thank you very much for being on the show and welcome.
Thanks, Asad, for calling me. Very excited for this podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm sure there's going to be an immense amount of value that the audience is going to receive today based on your extensive experience, not just in marketplaces, but also now in the crypto segment. So I'm super excited. So Rishi, I usually start with talking about the early days, the influences around you, where you grew up, where you studied, your peers, your friends and family that basically shaped the personality that we're speaking to today. So share some insights around that, please.
Yeah, sure. I've grown up in India, in Delhi. So I think the initial foundations of being a CFO, I think were seeded in back then. I think I was like extremely curious personality, was always like trying to solve problems, like how can I like solve certain things, like breaking them apart. So I think that engineering mindset like was developed initially, and I am an engineer by background as well, and happened to like grow through that journey and becoming a CFO. But I think, as I said, like solving problems, being very curious. And then the secondly, I think having that competitiveness and drive. Initially, like I've spent like a lot of time watching and playing cricket. So as you can imagine, like it is like a competitive sport, a team sport, also like analytical in a lot of ways. Thirdly, I think when I was doing my MBA, I got great insights into developing strategies. I was very curious about how companies grow, what are the internal mechanics, like why do they tick, why certain companies fail, why certain companies like become great. So I think that zoom in and zoom out perspective of building companies, like when to zoom in, when to zoom out, was developed there. So I think those three large foundations are, I think, extremely critical that I can talk about, which have shaped my journey as a CFO.
Amazing. The thing that really struck me deeply is cricket now.
Yeah.
Not that it was planned, but definitely I need to dig a little bit deeper into this because I am deeply attached to cricket as well. I still play to date. I'm a fast bowler, I'm an active fielder. I enjoy playing my game, enjoy being involved in it, just making those strategies. So run me through some of your cricket days. Who were you? What was your cricket persona?
I think it was more like a all-rounder, like a number 6 or a number 7, like how we see it. Yeah, initially. And that's what I enjoyed, right? Like a lot of synchrony with like how you see the as CFOs, like who are finishing the game, like who are coming in the end, like there is tough situations and you have to like make critical decisions, like because beyond you, like I think then there is like tail, right? So you need to be, you need to like be cautious on the wicket, but also hitting the right sixes to like win the game, right? So I think those are like some of the anecdotes which I can give from my learning experience, like playing cricket like a while ago.
This is such a good analogy. I never imagined that I could be playing this analogy from a finance or a CFO angle because, as you said, you have to hit the right balls, which is of course make the right calls. At the same time, the overs are always running out, right? So you've just got to make sure that your resources are efficiently used. So again, amazing analogy, Rishi. Thank you.
That's good.
That's very good. All right, Rishi, I'm gonna start with one of your, of course, earlier experiences around tech, which, as I said, was around marketplaces where you worked in eBay and you worked later in Souq.com and Amazon, and all of these were marketplaces. Just run us through the business model of how a marketplace works, some of the opportunities and the strengths of this kind of business versus the threats and weaknesses of this kind of business.
Yeah, so I think e-commerce is the most complex business that I've come across. I say that it's complex because there is supply chain, there is like category management, there is like significant amount of education that you have to spend in like educating the customers. Way back when I joined e-commerce in India, it was like very underdeveloped. People had inhibitions of buying something online. So I come from that age, right? And then I joined Souk at a very early stage. This was back in 2012 when Souk was organizing itself from auction site to retail and a full blown marketplace, right? So I think the early days taught me like how we and we learned it a lot more in Amazon, right? Like the way Amazon has run businesses across the world, and why it is so successful is because the flywheel that they have, right? Essentially, how to compete in the marketplaces, like you need to have a large enough selection, have low prices, provide the best convenience to the consumers, like having same day, next day deliveries. These are like things which are developed by Amazon as a organization, and Souk at that point in time was called as like Amazon of the Middle East. So we had similar ethos. We developed our business in the similar way. So has been a great learning, and I'm extremely proud to say that what we could do in last 10 years, like when I was with Amazon, we changed the way people shop, or we changed the way like how consumers look at e-commerce, right?
100% Rishi. And I think we were chatting back outside as well, is that the amount of trust that you have built and bridged is insane. I mean, people are standing in bricks and mortar stores and checking prices from the store to the Amazon website. What is Amazon saying for this particular? So that's the kind of trust that you guys have sort of earned over time by becoming a very open marketplace. What do you think are some of the elements that have really bridged this trust over time?
I think it's essentially focusing on the customer. Customer has been right in the front and center of all the products, like all the technologies that we've developed, be it in Souk or Amazon, right? So famously, like customer obsession is the leading leadership principle in Amazon, right? That everyone holds dear towards themselves, right? So essentially, it's all about customer obsession and like how you can like build your products working backwards from the customer. So you're solving problems for the customer. How will a customer see if they are receiving a product in 2 days versus like next day? How will a customer see or perceive you like if they receive something in the same day, right? So I think all these problems that we have solved are working backwards from the customer. So today we can say like Souk and even Amazon, right? I mean, they were the largest marketplaces, and like they have been the largest marketplaces, bringing tons of millions of selection to the customer at their doorstep in the single day. I think that's a great achievement, and as well as giving the customers the best pricing which is available in the marketplaces, right? So I think it requires a lot of customer rigor. It requires like a lot of thinking backwards from the customer to be able to deliver this.
Wonderful. Customer first, absolutely. Customer delight is what basically takes business forward. Rishi, I'll continue to expand and unpack this e-commerce a little bit more before we move into
Yeah.
BitOasis. I mean, before Amazon really came on scene like this, there was eBay. Do you think eBay is pretty much erased now, or is it playing in a certain niche of its own? How do you compare and contrast between the two now?
I think eBay is still quite active in a lot of markets, right? They've sort of have played a different role. While Amazon took a lead, started as a retail platform, and then like expanded into marketplaces, as we know. eBay kind of remained as a marketplace, right? The true ethos of marketplace. And I think eBay has been the pioneer of like building a marketplace.
Yeah.
Now they have like their own spaces. They have gone into like a bit more like payments as well, and just expanded a lot more on that front. But definitely like they are playing their own sort of, let's say, developing the ecosystem in their own way.
Yeah.
So I think I would say like I had a lovely time spending in eBay like in the early days. Still friends with a lot of folks from there.
Amazing, amazing. There is an important distinction that you drew, which many of us, including myself, I'll concede, would not understand. Where you said marketplace versus retailer, or should I say e-tailer.
Yeah.
Could you just help the audience understand a little bit as to what that literally means?
So a retailer is like someone who holds inventory on their balance sheet,
Yeah.
right? So they buy retail inventory and then they sell it to the customers, right? So the onus lies on the retailer, right? To put their checks and balances, to do the pricing, to do like all the back end sort of engineering around the product. So this helps in like developing a lot of trust with the customers, because like you're owning the end to end journey of what you're selling on your platform, versus a marketplace where you can scale very fast, because you don't have to like put all the products on your balance sheet. You are using other sellers and their balance sheet as well, and helping them provide good sales opportunities,
Yeah.
as well as like reducing the, as I said, like asset and liability on your balance sheet, right?
Got you.
So it is a asset light model marketplace.
Indeed.
But still you need to like have customer trust. So like how you develop it is like building the whole ecosystem around marketplaces, like how sellers can list on the platform, what kind of a content that customers would like from sellers. It should be like a similar experience that we give in retail, right? So I think there is a lot of things that have to come into play to for sellers to also like become extremely critical for the platform, and as well as enjoy the success that retail business does on Amazon.
Thanks, Rishi. This was useful. So, Rishi, currently Amazon is using platform model, sort of, or a retailer model, or a hybrid model where there are sellers, like a marketplace, as well as they carry their own inventory which they sell. So, what's
Yeah.
the Amazon model right now?
So it's a hybrid model, right? So Amazon owns inventory for the high and top selling products. And then like through marketplace, Amazon develops like a long tail of selection, which gives customers enough to choose from. And then ultimately the thinking is like, okay, whatever is selling faster, like we can provide better service, better pricing in retail. So the idea is to like bring those same products that are selling in marketplace to retail, right?
Okay. And because my interest also comes from the fact that I worked for an FMCG giant in the Middle East. They happen to be the distributors of a very popular product.
Yeah.
And Amazon was one of our sort of customers as well. We used to sell to Amazon and they would buy it, store it in the inventory, and then sell it on the
Yeah.
marketplace. From a retail angle, what I have learned in the retail business is a thin margin business. Doesn't carry heavy margin because it's retail, right? I'm assuming Amazon, again, being an e-tailer, retailer model, would face the same challenge. So when you would look at the P&L of Amazon as a CFO, what are some of the things that you would want to become better? What are some of the things that you found to be really sensitive that you have to protect and preserve?
So I think, as you rightly said, that margins in a lot of categories are thin, right? There are like a lot of categories where the margins are like big as well, like namely soft lines, like all the fashion accessories and sort of things. Margins are like thin in electronics categories, as you can imagine. Like there are like thin margins that you have to play with. But in Amazon, like we had a significant focus on like how do we improve margins, right? So we had developed like different mechanisms to like improve margins, like working with distributors, working with like how we can bring products directly from the suppliers, even if they are based in US or Japan or like so we had like a significant import business as well. So like I think Amazon has developed a best in class methodology of how to like still earn margins as well as like grow them. So I think it has been a great journey for me as well to learn how we can like make more margins through retail business, and not just like being a regular retailer, like where I think we've seen like margins being thin.
Amazon's story just amazes me every single time that I speak to somebody, and you're the first closest person that I'm speaking to
Yeah.
directly who has a first hand Amazon experience. I say that because once I was on a long flight and I happened to have watched Jeff Bezos's story,
Yeah.
and I was intrigued. What a journey from a company that started as named as Cadabra to Relentless to Amazon,
Yeah.
and all the way to leading retail e-tail landscape across. There must be a lot of data that you sit upon, right?
Yeah.
People who came on the website but didn't do anything, or just did window shopping or added things to their cart but didn't go to checkout, or checkout but failed. So there is this insane amount of data that you're sitting on. How are you making use of that data to the benefit of your business and generally to the user, if I may say, even?
Yeah. So I think as you said, data, right? So there is like immensity of data that we capture. I mean, we used to capture in Amazon. The way to use this data is like what would be like some of customers' preferences, right? So we know like, okay, there is this X customer and they like to buy, let's say, a lot of groceries on the platform, right? So you tend to like provide them that personalization of if there are like certain new offers on certain groceries, like if they are purchasing on certain time of the month. So we used to develop like promotions around that. Like generally we've seen like people buy in the first week of the month. So we used to run like a grocery sale slash promotions during that period of time. Then another thing like that we used to do was like during the White Friday sale, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of products like that are top sellers. Like we used to like work with the vendors, the sellers to like procure the inventory as well as like give customers the best pricing, because like the idea is like to be able to like reach out to the customers, create a shopping festival similar to like how DSF has been created by Dubai itself, and give customers the experience of like scale, give customers experience of like best pricing as well as like fast shipping. So I think we've used data in a lot of innovative ways. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no. If anything, Amazon has built an insane amount of trust in people and has accelerated the feeling of instant gratification. So things are like we don't want to wait anymore, right? It has
Yeah.
to be delivered tomorrow. That's the kind of expectation you guys
Yes.
have created over time, right?
Yeah.
And it delivers in best quality. And as you said, I mean, from a refund perspective, people really don't have to worry about, oh, if the product comes different to what I've expected, what am I going to do? Is it going to be a waste of money? But that's not the case.
Yeah.
Amazon facilitates. It's an amazing business and a great case study for many. Tell me one more thing, and you can shoot it down if it's wrong also. Because Amazon sits on huge amount of data, does Amazon also look at those lucrative opportunities where they see a particular product or a segment which is selling very well, and they would say, okay, let us develop it ourselves and produce it ourselves because we know it's a. So now you're sitting on that data which you can use to your own advantage. There's nothing
Yeah.
right or wrong in this. It's a capitalist world. But
Yeah.
what was Amazon's strategy around this, especially in the MENA region here?
Yeah, I think not just in MENA, but I think overall as Amazon, like you would have seen Amazon Basics, right? So it
Yes.
was like I think a progeny that was developed in back in US in early days. I think what in Amazon we saw that there are products which are like more commodities, right? It could be like batteries, it could be like even your normal regular clothing, right? But you essentially don't really care about what brands you are buying in those categories. It could be even luggage, right? For instance, yes, there are like a lot of brands, good brands developing high quality products, but these were like also the products which where when you present something high quality in an affordable price, customers didn't have a specific preference that they will buy only this particular brand, and they were willing to like experiment with like different other brands. So I think that whole concept of Amazon Basics was developed like that, and I think I can talk about that. That used to give a lot of good margins we used to make, as well as like provide very high quality, even sometimes like better quality than some of the top notch brands that they were providing at a very affordable price. So I think that's one use case which I am reminded by your question.
No, it is absolutely, and I totally agree with this. I noticed that as well. It wasn't coming to my mind. What was the name of that? But just when you took
Yeah.
it, Amazon Basics, I mean, it just clicked. Cool. And I'm just going to wrap up the e-commerce and marketplace story by just saying, because you as a CFO, somebody who was heading the finance function, for this kind of business, marketplace, e-commerce platform business, what are some of the things that kept you up at night? Not literally, but some of the things that you would worry about when you see your numbers, etc. So what would that be?
So in Amazon, you're saying, right?
Yeah, Amazon. Let's say Amazon.
Yeah, I think things that kept us at night were largely how we can solve customers' problems better, how we can come up with better ways of, let's say, pricing something better. Let's say, how can we contract with the with the biggest brands and bring them on the platform. I think these are like some of the things, and they were like quite hard problems
Yeah.
that we had solved, be it working directly with Apple, be it working with Samsung, be it like working with FMCG, like Unilevers of the world.
Yeah.
So I think how can we bring the best selection in the best prices to the customers, and what are the sort of innovative ways we can do that? I think those things have kept us awake in the night, and that's what you see now that Amazon has delivered to the whole wide world. Right?
Indeed, it kept you awake at night and kept the customer sleeping well at night
Sleeping.
because they knew they're taken care of.
Yeah.
This is an exercise that I like to do for my benefit because this is essentially a finance convo. If you were to visualize, not with numbers, but just, without numbers, visualize a P&L of a company like Amazon and a balance sheet. So what are some of the biggest items that are seen on P&L and on balance sheet? And what are one or two main ratios that every month you would look at and track?
Yeah, so I think it was a quite a detailed, let's say, P&L that we used to run, very granular in nature. So sort of we had differentiated like our P&L into like retail segment, and then the marketplace segment. And within marketplace, we had like merchant fulfillment network where the 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 custody of the inventory is with the marketplace seller, and there is this famous FBA, right?
Yeah.
Fulfilled by Amazon, where the inventory is sitting in the warehouse of Amazon. So we used to look at all these three in parallel in the same P&L. Sort of in the, as you can imagine, retail, the biggest cost line item is like the product COGS.
Correct.
Right? So how do you manage that? Like there is like a large inventory that you used to manage. The idea was like how we can sophisticatedly solve problems around inventory management. How can we still make availability a very consistent phenomena for our customers while not buying too much of inventory, right? So I think most of the effort used to from our finance team used to go there, right? How to make it like reliable for the customers, but like still not having too much inventory, like which will not be able to sell, right? So most of the work used to happen there. On the other side, on marketplaces side, it was more about how can we attract more and more sellers, because sellers are also like our customers, right?
Correct.
More sellers that are there on the platform, there will be more selection.
Correct.
So we need to make it a attractive phenomena for our sellers to be on the platform, right? And the way you do it is like by creating frictionless environment for sellers to onboard as well as list, right? So a lot of work used to happen on that side, and then we used to work on pricing models, on what should be the fair share of price that a seller should be willing to part away with, right? Because we used to charge commissions to the sellers, right? So there used to be a rev share.
Of course.
So you need to earn the right to ask for that rev share before you can like make that sale, or before you can even think of making like sellers more profitable on the platform, right? So I think a lot of work from marketplace side used to happen on that. Yeah, so I think those are like some of the things which I remember.
No, that's perfect. And again, back in the day, of course, things would have changed now, but from a proportions perspective, between the retailer model and the marketplace model? What was it like 50-50, 70, whatever?
Yeah, so like typically you start with like 50-50 and then you kind of graduate more towards marketplace because like you're continuously bringing a lot of selection on the marketplace, right?
Cool.
But there isn't a thumb rule
Sure.
that is sort of developed, but like I've seen that generally like 40% retail and 60% marketplace is like what is the sweet spot.
Sure, sure. Super interesting, and I'm sure it must be very, very detailed there. Now, enough of sort of e-commerce shopping, and let's go for some crypto shopping, which is your next experience and the most recent one, which
Yeah.
is where you had the finance function as the CFO of MENA's largest crypto exchange, which is called BitOasis.
Yeah.
So I think it's a big topic to unpack,
Yeah.
and you have to be patient with us because some of the things you could do off the cuff for the
Yeah.
rest of the audience, these things are still in the ether somewhere, right? So first tell us what is BitOasis and what is the business model of BitOasis?
Yeah. So BitOasis is a full suite of a crypto exchange, right? So you can buy, sell, swap cryptocurrencies. I think BitOasis, like if I take a step back, it has been the oldest and most regarded platforms in Middle East and North Africa. It was started by Ola in 2015 and 16, and ever since, like in fact, like I also bought my first crypto back in 2017 on BitOasis, and that's how like my journey also started with crypto. So I think it is like a full suite of exchange we've developed. Customers like about BitOasis is like it's a trustworthy platform. It's a safe platform to engage with. We provide nearly 80 plus tokens, which is like a large width of tokens, and like the idea is like we continuously expand the tokens on our platform. BitOasis also provides like a very seamless way of converting your AED, which is the fiat currency, to crypto. And I think we can say it with a lot of proud that we've developed this platform for retail investors, and we've seen like a significant activity recently as well. Like as you know, like Bitcoin prices have like escalated a lot, so we've seen like significant activity on our platform as well. But it has been developed over the period of time through trust, the safety, and the regulated way we work on the exchange.
Perfect. I think this is a good entry point to this discussion because Rishi, while crypto has been the buzzword around, of course, and everybody wants to chase after this, but the reality is that a lot of people still do not understand the fundamentals of what drives the value. For many people, crypto is synonymous with Bitcoin only, and that's it. Even blockchain is synonymous with Bitcoin, and that's it, full stop. But there is a whole host of opportunities around that. First of all, I would like to understand from you what are some of the fundamentals that drive the value. So there is a lot of herd mentality that I notice in Bitcoin. Oh, the prices are going up because there is a new administration in the US, so let's just buy it. So that's not based on fundamentals, right? So educate us. What are the fundamentals of a cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and any other that you want to pick?
Yeah, no, sure. I think I also see that there is a lot of lack of education in the market. Although, like in UAE, you would be surprised to know that we have highest penetration of cryptocurrency users in the whole of world. So nearly like 27% of the UAE population owns or has interacted with the crypto, right? So you can imagine like we are living in a crypto capital of the world, right? Yeah. So coming back to the point on education, so I think we need to see crypto as part of the whole Web3 ecosystem. Crypto is here, like you can imagine it as like money on the internet, right? So like how you've seen in the initial in the ancient ages, like there used to be barter system.
Yep.
Then it evolved into like gold coins and like silver and bronze and so on and so forth. And then ultimately like the new monetary system which we today know, which is like owned by the governments of all the nations, and which we call as like currency. And now there is like this new phenomena, like in last 25 years we've been living breathing on internet, right? So I think the thinking of crypto is also the same, that now money also should evolve, like as it has evolved over the period of time. So we can think of it as money which is like staying on the internet. And I think there are like far many use cases that we've seen. For instance, like stable coins, which are like competing with the Swift network, and nearly $200 billion of stable coins were transacted last year. So you can imagine like how fast we are growing in this ecosystem. Coming back to, I think, Bitcoin, like some of the, let's say, ethos, like how it has been built. While I say money on the internet, you can think of it a completely decentralized money system, which is like completely immutable. Like immutable means like it can be like broken into like various parts. Like today, if you see money, you can have like as many parts as you can, right? Basically, one dirham is formed of like 100 fills, but like you cannot go beyond that, right? But whereas like you can buy Bitcoin in like fractional, as a fractional asset as well. The other aspect is scarcity. So Bitcoin is like an extremely scarce resource. It's an absolute scarcity, which we can say. Today, like in fiat, you can produce like as much as fiat you want, right? Like governments own that currency, be it USD, which is owned by US government, Indian currency by Indian government, and UAE dirham that we have, right? But there is that many Bitcoins that you can mine, right? There are only 21 million of it, like which will ever be mined. So there is like an absolute scarcity that we have. And that's how like the value of Bitcoin has been increasing. So I think that's a big phenomena that I think we would like to educate people about, of what money on the internet means, and like what are the ethos of money on the internet.
Amazing. So I think like any other new technology, the adoption will take time. There is, at the same time, you have to address a lot of negative sentiment, stigma attached to the use of Bitcoin, because many people, while chasing the fast buck, have lost a lot of money. Do you think regulations are catching up at a speed which you would expect them to, or there's a lot of catch up still to happen? And do you think the regulation are going to stifle the innovation around Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general, or are they going to move in tandem and support each other?
Yeah, no, definitely a great question that you ask. And we are sitting in the crypto capital of the world. We are very happy that in BitOasis, like we have been a regulatory first, a compliance first organization as well as platform, right? So even before, like, as you know, like Vara has been a regulator for cryptocurrencies and Web3 ecosystem in UAE and doing some pioneering work. And good to say that now a lot of platforms and exchanges are regulated in UAE, because they could see that there is a very sophisticated regulatory regime that UAE has developed. I think the leadership of UAE has like a far vision for crypto in the region, and that's why you see so many international players setting up shop here, right? Including BitOasis, which is a homegrown. So I think regulation is here to stay, and like we have been, as I said, like initially, that we've been a regulatory first and compliance first platform. We worked with Vara very closely, and all the players have been complying with the regulation, and as well as like they are helping form the perspective about like how regulation should be. Definitely, like I don't think that regulation or regulators will stifle the innovation. I think they are here for protecting customers. So within the realm of regulation, I think if we are working on innovation, working on like providing customers new products, I think that's the way to go, right? And that's how like you've seen like traditional finance as well evolving over the period of time, like which we know of. So I definitely feel like regulation and innovation will have to go hand in hand. Wherever regulation is like moving slowly, I think it will be the onus will be on the crypto players, or the WASPs, as we call virtual asset service providers. They have to work with the regulators and also help expand their horizon of how innovative products can be launched, and like within the realm of regulation that should be there for protecting customers.
So it sounds like regulations are catching up and they're coming up primarily to, of course, protect the ecosystem and sort
Yes.
of so that it doesn't collapse and it
Yeah.
stays strong. Okay. So let's say suppose there is somebody in the audience who's listening to us right now and he's thinking to buy Bitcoin but doesn't have a full understanding of what Bitcoin is. What would you advise them about the time horizon? Because generally speaking, and I'm generalizing here, people are chasing the fast buck when they're investing money into cryptocurrencies. I'm going to buy it now and then sell it,
Yeah.
the next first opportunity. So, should people have a longer time horizon when it comes to investing in Bitcoin? How should they approach their investment when
Yeah.
they approach Bitcoin?
I think I would like to answer this question again, coming back to the education point,
Yeah.
right? I think investing in assets which you have not educated yourself in becomes like gambling. Be it stocks, be it crypto, be it real estate. Until and unless like you've done your homework properly, I would suggest like do your homework first before investing into any asset, right? And crypto is like not any anomaly there, right? So you should definitely like invest a lot into like why you would want to invest in Bitcoin. What are your sort of investment principles? I think speculating in any sort of assets will make you burn your fingers rather than like building a investment thesis or like or if you want to like grow your money, right? So I think invest after a lot of education. Invest on the right ecosystems or like platforms as well. I think there is a lot of negativity which also like gets associated with platforms which have not the right intentions, right? Like, or they are not in the particular regulatory ambit. So I think customers should definitely educate themselves about crypto. They should educate about themselves about the platforms that they are going to use. They should be like well regulated. There should be like some affiliation. There should be like a affiliation with like strong agencies like Dubai Police, or could be FIU, like how BitOasis does very proactively. So I think those are like some of the basics that should be in place before you invest in crypto.
Super. Rishi, tell me something. What makes stable coins so stable while other cryptocurrencies so volatile?
I mean, again, educative question that you asked me. See, the stable coins essentially are nothing but tokenized USDs, right? Today, as we know of, like we have USDT and USDC, namely Tether, which is the organization behind USDT, and Circle, which is behind USDC. The idea behind developing these tokenized dollars is to provide an alternative platform for crypto users to use it for the payment rails, right? Currently, like the way we transact or transfer value is through USDs, for instance, or AED in our geography.
Correct.
So it is developed on the Swift network, which has been a very an age-long processing environment, but it has not evolved as we say, like now we are in an internet age and like AI age and like whatnot. So the ethos of stable coins is like to provide fast value transfer in the most cost efficient way, right? So those are like the two big pillars of stable coins. And if you see like today, if you have to transfer value in AD or USD, it takes sometimes few days
100%.
to reach a different country where you want to send your value. Whereas like a stable coins will do it in like less than maybe a minute, right?
So true.
So I think that fast paced nature of stable coins is what customers want or like the world needs at this stage. And also like the cost advantage, right? When you send value through the Swift network, let's say if you want to like send $1, sometimes it might just cost like 50 cents to like even send that dollar, right? It's like extremely inefficient. Whereas like stable coins provide you like cost advantage, like you just get charged like normally in some bips, right? Which is like very small in value. So I think those are the two advantages like which I see with stable coins, and it is like very stable because like it is pegged to the dollar, right? Like it's similar to like AD. I think you asked the question on volatility with the other assets. So I think the volatility comes into other assets because of a few things, right? Like crypto has a lot of speculation which happens, good or bad, but I think it's a speculative asset, right? So that's why I think you need to educate yourself like where how you are investing. Are you investing for long-term horizon? Are you trading? Are you a day trader? Like, so you need to have like your guardrails in place. But I think as the ecosystem will evolve, as now you've seen like BlackRock, which has launched ETF, Bitcoin ETF,
Yeah.
and like so on and so forth. So I think we'll see a lot of institutional flow into the ecosystem, which will stabilize a lot of cryptocurrencies. Like I think Bitcoin is like we will definitely expect it to like stabilize over the period of time, and that's what I'm expecting, that it will not be extremely volatile, although there will be like speculation which we cannot avoid. But with more fund flows, with more institutionals coming into, let's say, assets like BTC, we will see like stabilizing effect.
I think you're absolutely right because especially creating an ETF that too backed by a renowned firm like BlackRock again is a testament to the fact that this is an asset that's going to stay.
Yeah.
Because when you create an ETF and you throw institutional investors around it, like pension funds, for example, pension fund wouldn't invest in anything
Yeah.
which is risky, right?
Exactly.
So there is some reassurance around that.
Yes.
Oh, this will be cut, don't worry. About the stable coins, Rishi. So you educated us, and that's important right now, right? So a lot of what we are discussing is education as well. Stable coins. I work for a payments company, and payments company, of course, the essence is to settle your merchants on time at the
Yeah.
lowest cost possible. So stable coins is something that is really coming of use into our internal discussions. Hey, can we explore stable coin opportunities to settle? So I'm not talking about payment generally, but other than payments generally, do you foresee in the next 5 years that stable coins are going to become a ubiquitous or a common mode of payment method? So you go to a merchant and I don't know, we were discussing Amazon. You can pay Amazon through, I don't know, a stable coin or something. Do you foresee that? Are we that close?
Yeah, certainly. I think we are that close. And I won't say like it will take 5 years time. I think you'll start seeing stable coins being used in common world. Like, I mean, you and I are like already like using stable coins to transfer value, right? So I think the idea is to educate the customers. There is like already a significant value that a lot of large institutions see. A lot of large institutions are already using stable coins for like their cross-border transfers.
Yep.
So definitely in like 12 months, 18 months, even 24 months, I think less than 24 months, we will see stable coins as a common phenomena for any transfer of value.
So important this discussion because essentially you explained us that stable coins have solved three problems, right? Stability, time, and cost. So
Cost.
which is very, very important anyway. We're going to move from here, again, taking you to your CFO hat, of course, your CFO of BitOasis, sitting at the month end. Just the same thing. Help us visualize a typical P&L and a balance sheet for a company like BitOasis or any other crypto exchange.
Yeah. So I think crypto exchanges, they are based on the buy sell swap, right? Like the P&L is based on that. So like you kind of earn your revenue on the fees that you're charging, right? Or all the on the spreads that you're charging the customers. So we have like both products, like spread based product as well as like a fees based product. So fees based product is like largely tailored for the high value traders who are like doing high frequency trading. They are like doing day trading. They might be doing swing trading and stuff like that. And sort of and then we have like a product called light, which is like for your everyday users who just want like simplicity and e-commerce like environment, like just a clicking like the buy button on Amazon, similar like experience that we've developed. And we just recently launched instant funding last week, so you can like directly buy your favorite crypto without the hassle of wire transferring it to like BitOasis's account and then getting it into your wallet and all of that, right? So I think the idea is like to make it very seamless. So we earn revenues on those products, and then essentially that forms our like revenue line and revenue streams. Then there are like COGS, which are essentially distribution costs. The vendors or like the partners that we have, like they charge us like for transferring of value, like fiat to AD and like all of that. So I think that forms COGS part. So we have like our gross margin, and then essentially like any P&L, like we have marketing spends, which forms like a biggest cost center, then people cost, and like bunch of other things. Like so, I think so that's how like typical exchange P&L looks like. On the balance sheet side, the biggest assets are like the customer assets, which are also becoming the liabilities for us because like we are mandated that we have to maintain 1:1 ratio for all our crypto assets, which belong to the customers as liabilities as well, right? So we also like do a lot of proof of reserves, essentially audit, which is like generated, which is done by like external auditors, so who audit our balance sheet to manage that aspect.
Interesting. Interesting. And just as I asked you about Amazon, as a CFO manages this kind of P&L and this kind of balance sheet, and of course there is some volatility surrounding both of these things. Is there anything that keeps you up at night? Again, not literally, but figuratively. Is there anything that you think about a lot that this needs to go right?
Of late, it has been cybersecurity, right? So we've upped our investment significantly in like cybersecurity because like the idea is like we need to safeguard customers' assets, right? And I think that's the trust that the platform has developed. So I think that's something which keeps me awake at night. But I think we have a very solid cybersecurity team. We have like put in tons of investment in cybersecurity to safeguard the assets of the customers.
Amazing. This could have gone on for a very long period of time, and we could have just sucked value out of you on and on. But I think this is about time where we're finishing the podcast now. I think there are two quick segments left. One is the rapid fire, where I'm going to throw a bunch of questions towards you, and I expect a short answer towards that.
Sure.
And then we are going to close off with sort of your final advices towards three personas that I do the podcast for, which I'm going to tell you later.
Sure.
So I think let's just begin with the rapid fire. If you were to describe crypto in one word,
Revolutionary.
EBITDA versus adjusted EBITDA.
Adjusted what?
Adjusted EBITDA.
I mean, that's the answer, right? Adjusted what? It has to be like EBITDA.
All right, that is good. That is good. One financial metric that you can't live without.
Cash flows, free cash flows.
And again, related to that, cash flow or profitability, which one do you prefer?
So I would always like take cash flows.
Favorite part of being a CFO?
I would say like the large influence that you have on the business and how you can collaborate everyone's efforts towards the common goal.
Least favorite part of being a CFO?
I think I would say sometimes people upward delegating things rather than taking decisions themselves.
Okay. If you could pick any CEO to have dinner with, who would that be?
I would say it's my wife who's the CEO of our lives.
Oh, wow. That's a good one. That is a good one. You definitely earned yourself good brownie points. Okay, last. Biggest finance buzzword that you secretly dislike?
Finance buzzword. I think it has to do with like synergies, and it comes from a lot of M&A work and the acquisition work that I've done. Like so, people talk about like synergies, but I think on the ground it means like executing properly. I think it is like I think people get lost in just that word.
I couldn't help myself but ask you this last one as well. If you were to describe your job with a movie title, what would that be?
It should be Moneyball. If you've seen like what it stands for, like how to work in least amount of resources and generating maximum value. I think that's the ethos of a CFO as well, right?
Amazing. You've done very well on rapid fire, I must say that. So Rishi, last just absolutely closing thought. So I want you to share one piece of advice to three audience personas. One, you're very young finance professionals who are just starting out their journey.
Yeah.
Number two, middle management layer who's now approaching the CFO roles. And number three, peer level CEOs and founders. What advice would you have for each one of these?
So I think for the young financial professionals, I would say that be fungible in what work that you will do. I think fungibility is an important aspect that I also look at whenever I'm hiring someone in the team. Second would be like learning and being curious. I think curiosity is an aspect that keeps us going, and you continuously like challenge yourself in innovative ways, in different ways. Solving problems like creatively is another one that I would say. So I think those three things.
Okay, cool. Amazing. Thank you very much, Rishi. It was an amazing chat. I loved it. I'm sure audience would have extracted a lot of value from this. Hey guys, thank you very much for watching this episode of the CFO Podcast. If you would like to know more about any of the things that we discussed, Rishi is available on LinkedIn. You can connect with him and take it from there. Until next time, have a good one. Cheers. Bye.